Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Street Level Strategies. I'm here with Heather Neuner, Senior Loan Officer at Fairway. How are you doing today, Heather?
I'm doing good. Just living the dream. How are you doing?
Heather and I are living the dream today. We both have blurred backgrounds, partly because our backgrounds, we joked about it, are really awful today. So sorry in advance, you get our blurred background, but you get our beautiful faces today. But I'm super excited to have you on, Heather, because I know that you're a Total Expert power user, and I want to talk all things Total Expert process, how you leverage Total Expert in your day-to-day. But first off, let's go ahead and just talk a little bit about you. Do you mind giving us some background into who you are, your business, time being an originator? Why don't you go ahead and just give us a quick intro.
Yeah, so I started off thinking I was going to be a nurse and went through some healthcare stuff. I actually then switched to like massage therapy and then just realized like maybe that's just really not what I want to do. And I was introduced to the mortgage world through a friend and I was really intrigued. I always wanted like some sales type position and I got in and I think 2014 and no looking back. Like I can't honestly see myself doing anything else. I enjoy helping people buy their house. I enjoy the process of the mortgage world, and it gives me a lot of freedom too with my family. My son's 14, totally involved in a lot of things. So I love that I can pretty much work anywhere, and I can help people in other states, and it's just been super fun.
Yeah, I love that. It's interesting, like that servant heart, like that helpful heart. You know, it kind of, even though you started in healthcare and then you kind of went into a different one, it's all about like helping people. And it's funny, like I talked to so many people about how they get into mortgage, and it's always like, oh yeah, a friend just like pulled me in. And I'm like, wow, everyone just like been dragged into the mortgage industry. But that's awesome. So you've been an originator for quite some time now. And how long have you been leveraging the platform Total Expert today?
I think I've been using Total Expert for at least 4 years, maybe a little bit longer. It's been at least 4 years.
Awesome. And I know as we've talked about Total Expert, you are one of those people who like you wake up and Total Expert is just like ingrained into your day-to-day process. And so I'd love for you just to talk, because it's kind of a different perspective, right? Some people have different things that they really like and they do all the time. But then for you, I mean, it's a day-to-day, like it's breathed into your whole entire process as an originator. So I'd love for you just to share a little bit about what that looks like and how Total Expert is weaved into kind of your whole process as an originator.
Yeah. So when I first started, obviously the business was a little bit slower coming in, but it was like paper apps and I put them in a binder and then I had them like by day and by month and like who I was going to follow up with. And then the binder started to get a little full. And so then we moved to like an Excel spreadsheet, which was working pretty well for us, but it's a lot of data entry and then not a whole lot of room for notes. And we were then introduced to Total Expert. And so, with change, you're like, this is a lot. And really, Total Expert is a wealth of tools for you to use, but it has become legit what we're in all day, every day. I spend more time in Total Expert than I do at our point of sale, but every note gets put in there, every tidbit of what we need to know about these people. Like, I remember a lot of my clients, but there's sometimes they come up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember what I was wearing, where I was talking to them at, like weird things, but like the specifics about like what they did, I can't always remember that. So Total Expert has made me have the ability to go back in and read all of those notes and get caught up and be like, oh yes, and have very good conversations. So, what our day to day looks like is I get up, I come to my desk, and I'm pulling up Total Expert. We utilize the task systems, the action plans. So every client gets the exact same experience from start to finish, and finish is never ending with us. So we have stuff ongoing for the life of these people to maintain these relationships, because that's really what this business is. It's all about relationships. But you can tell me to do something right now, and if I don't write it down, if I don't go put it in the system, writing down is also not safe. If I don't go put it in Total Expert and create a task for myself and tell me what to do or tell my team what they need to do, it's just not going to happen for me. I'm a very messy person, we'll call it. So I have to have a lot of organization in my life. And Total Expert has streamlined our process tremendously to where we don't forget to do things. Everyone gets that exact same experience. And we don't have to remember those fine details because we put it in yesterday or we put it in 2 years ago. It doesn't matter. It's all right there living for us to go back and refresh and just keep the conversation moving forward.
Yeah. So you're truly leveraging Total Expert as your CRM. Like everything
100%.
is in there.
Mhm.
Any of the client details, all of it goes in to make sure that when you come back to that contact record, you know
Mhm.
what's happening, you know what they've received, you have all that information in one spot.
Yep.
That's
So we
awesome.
start, even if it's just Bobby Joe's calling us or going to call you. I'm like, who's Bobby Joe? What is their number? And then maybe I don't
Yeah.
have all that stuff, but there's a way for me to track it. It's also a way for me to help my referral partners maintain their database because I
Mhm.
can be like, hey, you said Bobby Joe was calling me, but I haven't heard from her. Like, do you want me to reach
Yeah.
out? Can I get their information? Have you heard back? But then it just keeps us not losing sight of
Mm.
any of our prospects. And then it allows me too to easily pull up anyone from our past and go maintain that relationship with them moving forward.
Yeah. And then what does that look like from, okay, so you talk about kind of the in process, right? With your clients, and then how does that help you in the end, right? So now that you've closed the deal, what does that look like going forward, right? To make sure number one, I could think, right? You have all the information there. So 6 years down the road, when you get that call back, or you can always quickly go and say, oh, this is the loan we did, right? This is
Mhm.
how, our last communication with the customer. But what does it look like, down the road, and from a loyalty, retention, making sure those opportunities come back to you perspective?
Yeah, so we utilize the email marketing as well, like the drip campaigns and the
Yeah.
journeys and whatnot. I personally am not a big fan of email. Like my inbox needs to
Yeah.
be at zero. So, and your personal emails, it kind of fills up with junk sometimes. I don't
Yeah.
want that to be my primary, but it's good to send them. There's fun things in there for them to see, like
Yeah.
recipes or offbeat holiday stuff, just different things. But from our perspective, we have set it up to where we have reoccurring tasks where it's like
Mm,
every year we're going to call them, we're going to go
that's
over
great.
everything with them and see how they're doing. We also send them stuff in the mail, like we pull birthdays and we make sure that they get a birthday card in the
Mm,
mail each month or each year for their birthday.
yeah.
The swag stuff that we send or the invites, it all comes from Total Expert, from us being able to pull that data up, and it
Yeah.
keeps it streamlined where I don't have to remember like, oh, who all did I close last
Yeah.
June? Let me go call them.
Yeah.
No, I already have a task sitting there waiting on me that says, hey, this person closed. Let's time to go over this with them.
Mhm.
Or just, we have other touch points that we
Mm,
reach out to them to maintain that relationship because I want them to never think of anybody else. If it is house mortgage related, whatever, you need to be thinking
yeah.
of me top of mind because I have also a huge resource that I can say
Mm,
that may not be something that we're able to help with, but let me point you in the right direction.
yeah.
And then, when you give that to people and you stay in contact with them and you know about their kids or about, I was just talking to someone yesterday and I was going through and I'm like, oh, she has multiple kids. She said that she had to go out of town because she needs to meet her future in-laws. I'm like, which one of the kids is getting married? Like I knew their names. I knew
Totally.
what to talk to them about. And so that part is really fun and
Mm,
rewarding for me too,
yeah.
because I'm making new friends, I'm making new relationships, and
Yeah.
Total Expert has definitely helped me maintain that in my brain. When I forget stuff sometimes, it triggers
Totally.
like, oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
or
lot.
one of the fun things too, I think is nice for us too, is like I'm having initial conversations with somebody and they're like, well, we're gonna get married in August. And I'm like, cool, I'm noting that. And we're sending them
August, I'm
something.
gonna be sending something. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Hey, how congratulations on the wedding or the baby's
totally.
coming or something like that. So
Right.
it really helps us stay and I mean, I think I manage other people's milestones in their life better than my own
Yes.
sometimes with
Yes.
Total Expert.
Right, right. But that's really cool. So it sounds like from a retention and loyalty perspective, and as you're thinking about the customer life cycle and experience and keeping those borrowers coming back to you, you're actually leveraging it more CRM heavily, right? Like it's the task to
Mhm.
follow up and you're really leaning on, hey, I'm going to, do those really intimate personal touches like the phone call at that time, or the birthday card, or the anniversary or something like that, right? Rather than, I mean, I'm sure you have some journeys or other things happening, but
Mhm.
you're really leaning into personal face-to-face contact, and that
Yep.
the phone calls and leveraging tasks and the
Mhm.
CRM of Total Expert to make sure that you are staying on top of every client and you are following up and making sure you're tuning in to really nurture those relationships.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
It's
that's
it's
wonderful.
important. Yeah, everyone's important into it. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter who they are, what kind of loan they did, or if they
Yeah.
even just asked a question and that somebody that could be have a need in the future, those people are
Mhm.
important to me. And there's so many more of them out there than there are me or
Yeah.
realtors that we're working with, that it's not always about the business, but I mean, we're here to,
Yeah.
provide for our family too. So
Yeah.
if I can support those people in every aspect that I can in their life,
Totally.
then they can refer people to us too, and that's helped our business. I mean, I can't tell you the percentage, but we are realtor based
Yeah.
referrals, but we have a lot of past client
Referrals.
and sphere referral base because of this. If I didn't
Yeah.
do this, there's no way they'd remember me.
No, right? And they wouldn't also feel that connection of like, hey, I'm a
Mhm.
raving fan of you, Heather. I want to tell all my family and friends to, work with you because my
Yeah,
experience was so good, right? So you're really curating
yeah.
that amazing customer experience. And one other question I was going to ask you, do you leverage a team? Do you have any LOAs or team members
I do.
that work with you? Okay.
Mhm.
How does that work? Like from a total expert perspective, are you all in? How do you manage, the task that way? You want to speak a little bit to that?
So that's my favorite part, because I will forget to do something or tell them, and my team, I don't want them working when it's not their business
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing something like tonight and I need them to do that tomorrow, it's so easy to put the task in, have
Right.
my note in, spell out what I want, and it's already assigned to them. So we do work out of a team account, and
Right.
everyone just logs into the Team Neuner file, and then any task for that day, you can easily filter it and they can see everything that's assigned for them. It also saves time because I don't have to go and call them and say, "Hey, I need you to go do this," or that's a time waster. They're going to see it the day that they need to go do it. They're going to know what they need to do and have all the details right there waiting on them. They can easily reassign stuff back to me. So that has been huge for us. To the action plans that we use, so that's how we set up where everyone does the exact same thing. Well, I don't have to go mess with that because the time frame's already set up. Each individual task is already there. And if it's not something I'm going to do, I might assign it, but it's already going to pop into my production partner's file
Yeah.
or my loan officer assistant's file. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's there and they just know that they log in every day and they know what to do.
Yeah. So you've said, hey, this is my process. This is how my
Mhm.
team works. And this is our workflow. And then I'm just going to automate it to make sure it happens every single time for every client.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's truthfully, like, the rule in our team is there's no one ever goes without some type of follow-up. And that can vary because I mean, at some point, like some of the people that you just never actually get a hold of, there's just some of those people,
Yeah.
right? They're going to be on some type of campaign, right? We're going to stop messing with that.
Yeah.
But the people that have interest or that we've closed a loan with, there's always something following them for the rest of their life.
Yep. That's how it should be because who knows, 6 years
Mhm.
down the road, they could see your name at Team Neuner and they can go, hey, I remember working with them and now I'm at a place where I'm ready to maybe sell my house and buy a new one, right? Or
Yeah.
do something else with my life.
I
Yeah.
had a good point brought up to me yesterday too. These people are not conditioned to refer us out all the time. So if
Right.
I'm not staying in front of them, telling them what I can do and how we can help and saying, "Hey,
Right.
we are here to help you, your friends, and your family," then
Right.
they're not going to do that anyway.
Right.
So this gives me the opportunity to, make sure that remind them so we're always staying top of mind.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny. You said something earlier. You're like, I'm not normally an organized person. Like my life would be a mess if I didn't have Total Expert, but like I cannot see that because you're so proficient in Total Expert and like you've just set these things up. But I guess that's the advice is like, hey, if you're like a sticky note person and your brain's all over the place, like Total Expert's a great way to organize kind of your day, obviously your workflow, your process, and keep yourself truly organized. Oh no. Oh no.
But this used to be
But that
worse.
goes into
This
Total
used to be
Expert.
worse. Yeah.
That
That
goes
used to
in.
be worse. This is my personal life, okay? So I've almost put my personal life in total expert to make sure I do the things I need to do. That's how
That's
much
so
I love it.
awesome. That's so
I just
awesome.
don't know that my team needs to know all those ins and outs, right,
Oh
of my
yeah,
personal
that's fair.
life.
That's fair. Amazing. Okay, well, one last question. So I know that you've spoken super highly and and leverage the platform heavily, but if for another originator, listening or on the call today, what's one piece of advice or what's something you would say, about Total Expert to them?
So I'll make it a little personal. I am not big on technology. There's some things where I'm like, oh, I got that, I can do it. But like really total expert, if I was diving into it for the first time, me back to that first day, it was very overwhelming. And not in a bad way. It's just change. It's new. There's a lot of stuff in
Yes.
there. So my advice, and I talk to my teammates, not just on our specific team, but in our branch or even across like Fairway. I've helped people all over get introduced to it. We have a really good training system here for people to do it. But at the same time, they're kind of like, whoa, what is that? I'm like, just start putting someone in there.
Somewhere.
And then if once you start, then you start adding the other pieces. But if you're looking at this big overall picture, that is overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I would start with your database, start putting stuff in, and it will change your life. Like I'm telling you, it is so much better than going and pulling in this Excel sheet or pulling out the binder. Or
Can't imagine.
some people I've heard manage their day to day through Outlook, and I'm like, oh, like that seems like a lot to me. But this is a mobile thing,
Yeah.
so I don't have to be in front of my computer. I can pull it up on my phone. I can do it on my computer. And I mean, the fun part is like I'm driving and I don't want to do it. I can already have Total Expert pulled up, and then I can voice to text any kind of note that I want in there, and be done with it. So I would tell anybody, like, it has definitely changed my life with Total Expert. It's made me way more organized. It's taken my stress levels down just because I don't have to wonder. I can even like take a peek at what the rest of the week looks like, so I can help manage my day. If like one day looks heavier than the other, what can I move around to make sure that I'm not working 14 hours one day and only have a few hours another day? Like, how can I manage that? So it's really such an awesome tool. And then once you start getting into the other really cool things that Total Expert provides, there's even more that you can do. I mean, there's social media, there's websites, there's all kinds of stuff. So I don't want to go into too much because again, it can sound overwhelming, but I encourage everyone to jump in, get started, and then you'll be like, why didn't I start this sooner?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think the advice to like, just start, like just try, you know, even if you're technologically adverse, right? Like just getting in and saying, okay, just start with one contact. Like every contact, you know, from starting now, I'm going to put in, I'm going to add those notes. Like you don't have to go back. I think it's overwhelming to say, do I have to go back to my whole database and type and fill out all the stuff? No, just start, you know, like, and from there it'll all kind of come together and you'll start to figure out what works for you and for your business and your process and workflow.
I think that was one of my favorite pieces too, is that it was like, oh my gosh, I have all these contacts. How am I going to get them in there? Now, if obviously on paper, this is a little different, but like you can upload an Excel spreadsheet and have them all put in. Yes. You can even have them categorized by how you want them grouped. And so you can pull up all realtors or pull up all clients or whatever. It's crazy. So definitely take a look at it, use it. I'm a big Total Expert fan.
I love it. I love it. Okay. I know I said that was last question, but this is actually the last question. So I ask everyone this, something that you should stop doing and something that you should continue doing moving forward. It can either be personal, professional, whatever you feel.
Yeah. So I would say, stop doing is sometimes I stop and I question, is that someone I should reach out to? Oh, I haven't talked to them in forever. Or that didn't feel right the last time. I'm telling myself these days, like, stop worrying about it. Just make the phone call, and keep going at it. And don't give up on somebody immediately because it sounded like it wasn't going to go anywhere. I mean, I have people from years ago that never did anything and they're coming back around. Timing is everything. And sometimes we're not hitting them at the right time, but if we stay in front of them, that timing will come one day. We'll continue to do. One of our big focuses right now is pouring even more into our clients, past clients, and our referral partners. And so we have been putting new things in place. Total Expert also has some new social media stuff that we're pretty excited to start implementing to make things in life more easier. So we're really trying to hit on that social media level and be more brand aware, get out into the community more. So those are our goals to continue to grow our business and help as many people as we can.
That's so good. Someone actually reminded me of that too. Like it's not as like, you just got to do it, right? Like sometimes the fear of like making the call is like debilitating for some people, but like just making the call, right? Not being so worried about like, okay, they say no, like, you know what I mean? And most of the time they don't, most of the time they'll answer, you know what I mean? So it's like, I was actually reminded of that last week. So I think it's awesome that you kind of brought that up.
They say no, you stop. And if they don't, like, you know, I mean, there's so many times in my life where I'm like, I really want to do that, but it's not a high priority for me. So depending on when it actually hits my mind, like, yep, I'm doing this today, then who's in front of me at that moment?
Totally. Yeah, no, I absolutely love that advice. So this has truly been wonderful, Heather. Even though we have the blurred backgrounds, this was a great conversation. We are doing so good. And I'm so thankful for you just coming on here and sharing your experience and talking about, your process and how you're leveraging total experts. I know it's going to be super valuable for other folks to listen in. So really, really appreciate your time. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate you guys because I'm telling you, you guys have made our lives so much better. And I'm not just saying that. Like I'm a big sport. If you ask anyone that's here locally or in our company, they're like, this girl doesn't stop.
This
Like
girl
she's
is on it.
Yeah, she doesn't stop.
But truly, like, we wouldn't exist without people like you. So we're thankful. And so truly thanks for being here and just being an advocate and talking about your experience. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome.